right, let's pray. God, thank you so much for an opportunity right now to meet together tonight. It's such a blessing being a part of a great city that acknowledges and honors you. Matter of fact, your word says in Psalm 14:1 that the fool says in his heart there is no God. And that's why I'm so grateful that we not only acknowledge that you are God, that you are real, but that you also love us and that you want the best for us. And so, God, we come to you tonight for wisdom. We're asking that as our city grows, you continue to give us great wisdom as to what decisions to make. And God, we know that we get to serve a God who can move mountains, who can break chains, who can do all kinds of things if we'll just ask you for help. So that's what we're doing right now. We come to you. We're asking that you would pave the way for us and that we see great things happen tonight and moving forward in our city because we're putting you first and acknowledging you above all else. So thank you for the amazing people in this room tonight. Please use our amazing mayor as well as the city council and all those here present today to be people who would honor you, and people who would live for you, and people who would acknowledge you first. So we love you, and we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you both. Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Yonker?
Here.
Councilmember Berry?
Here.
Councilmember Goodman?
Present.
Councilmember Hagestad? Councilmember Beard?
Here.
Vice Mayor Hustis?
Here.
Mayor Osborne?
Present. Thank you very much. Item number 2 is comments from the public. Members of the audience may comment on any non-agenda item of interest. I have 2 speaker request cards, but I think they're both for 5B. Do we have any speaker request cards?
There are no additional speaker request cards.
Sorry, not 5B, 5A. Sam and Kelsey, these are in relation to 5A, is that correct? Okay, thank you. Okay, on to item 3, awards, presentations, and proclamations. We do not have any tonight. Item number 4 is consent agenda items and new business. Approval of items on the consent agenda. All items with an asterisk are considered to be routine matters and be enacted by one motion and vote of the City Council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests. The section may include the approval of minutes from previous meetings. And we have I think a Scribner's error to clean up on one of these, correct, Councilor?
Pardon me, Mayor and Council. Item 4F on the consent agenda does contain a Scribner's error. Some of the materials submitted in connection with this agenda item mistakenly referred to the location of the project as the northwest corner of West U.S. Highway 85 and Brooks Road. The project is actually located at the northwest corner of Brooks Road and MC 85, not West U.S. Highway 85. We've corrected all of the materials, but just didn't get a chance to get them in front of you before tonight's meeting. So thank you, Mayor.
That other location, someplace in Lower Texas, is that right?
It very well could be. I looked hard for West U.S. Highway 85, couldn't find it.
Sounds like Texas. Okay. All right, Council, consent agenda, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve council agenda items 4A through council agenda item 4K as prescribed.
I have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda items. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
And opposed? And consent agenda passes unanimous. Okay, thank you. On to, let's see, we've been asked to change up the order here and take 5B before we take 5A. So we'll go ahead with 5B. Council to hold a public hearing and take action on ordinance number 04-25 declaring as a public record that certain document on file with the city clerk entitled the Community Master Plan and Planned Area Development Modified Provisions and adopting the same by reference, amending Chapter 7 Development Code, Article 5 Development Design Standards and Guidelines as set forth in the Community Master Plan and Planned Area Development Modified Provisions, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances and provisions and providing for severability. Ms. Mandy Woods, you're presenting. Hello.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Mandy Woods. I'm a principal planner with Development Services, and tonight I will be presenting case number PLZM 24-0109, which is a development code amendment regarding CMP or Community Master Plan and PAD or Planned Area Development modified provisions. In a brief summary of the request, this is new language that's being proposed to be added to the Development Code, Article 5. It's creating a new section, and that is to clarify the authority of City Council to approve community master plans and planned area developments, their ability to modify provisions of the Development Code by establishing their own unique development standards and guidelines. And I just want to say preemptively that, as with all Development Code amendments, this request has been reviewed from a citywide perspective and not a project-specific or applicant-specific perspective, as it will impact all PADs and CMPs moving forward. Some background on CMPs and PADs as a tool. They are used, they allow flexibility in design and development standards and land uses, and the goal is to achieve a master plan vision and meet the unique needs of a particular development. A PAD or a CMP may only be approved if the proposed modifications result in a development that is equal to or better in quality than if it were strictly adhering to the code as it exists. They're not a new tool. I think everyone here is probably pretty familiar with them. They're very standard in Buckeye and throughout the valley. And we have many CMPs that have been in existence for decades within Buckeye. And generally, planning does support the use of them because they provide more confidence in what will be built compared to a standard-based zoning district rezoning. And then ultimately, council actually has more authority over the design and level of detail in a CMP or PAD. So this Development Code Amendment request creates a new section 5.1.5 within Article 5. And I'm just going to kind of briefly summarize what that new section does. Within this, it establishes a new term called modified provisions. And these are project-specific development standards, land use regulations, design guidelines, or any other provisions that modify provisions of that development code. The term is new, but it's not new in concept because previous CMPs and PADs in Buckeye have created their own project-specific standards. So it's just the scope of what this is hasn't been previously spelled out in code before. All of these modified provisions that would be set forth within a CMP or PAD would ultimately be subject to council approval. Continue with what section 5.1.5 establishes. It specifies which articles of the development code modified provisions may be proposed for. Those are listed, so that's uses, dimensional standards, design standards and guidelines, subdivision. Article 8 is our review and approval procedures article. This particular section would only be available to CMPs that are 2,500 gross acres or more in size, those that provide significant customized design standards. And the reason that there's kind of that caveat there is, especially for these really large projects, they do provide quite a bit of design predictability, and it ultimately will help contribute to more cohesiveness in project review over the span of a very large project area and project identity as well. That's why that limitation is present. And then related to any changes that would be proposed for Article 8, I just wanted to note that the CMP ultimately establishes the overarching vision for the project, and that is approved by council. That vision were to change, that is still something that has to come back to creation. And then to conclude the summary of what this new section proposes, modified provisions are strictly limited to the scope of the development code. So this amendment does not authorize the ability of a PAD or a CMP to create modified provisions for anything else outside of the development code. It cannot directly conflict with another section of city code, engineering design standards, or any other city regulatory document limited to the development. As far as impact to our current process, as previously stated, this new language is not new in concept, but it better reflects how our CMPs and PADs have been utilized in the past. We do believe that this is an improvement and that it is explicitly stating what those modified provisions are, how they can be used, what the full scope of this tool is. But from a procedural perspective, it's not a huge impact. It's just an improvement over existing language. And we do think that it will be helpful for staff, future CMPs and ADs. As for public participation, this case, we did complete all legal notices in accordance with development code requirements. There were 3 letters of support that were received for this development code amendment request. During the Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing for this item, there were no speakers. With that, because all reviewing departments have no further outstanding issues with the application, staff does recommend approval of the language. The recommendation tonight is to conduct the public hearing and then adopt ordinance number 4-25. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Woods. First, we will open a public hearing, and I do not have any speaker request cards for 5B. Do we have any speaker request cards?
Mayor, there are no speaker
None?
requests.
Anybody from the public wishing to speak on 5B? Seeing none, so we will close the public hearing. And council, any questions on 5B? Okay. Council for 5B, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item 5B as presented.
I have a motion and a second for approval of item 5B. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And 5B passes unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On to item 5A, council to hold a public hearing and take action on ordinance number 05-25, terminating the former development agreements for the development of the Trillium Community Master Plan on land generally located 15 miles north of Interstate 10 and the Sun Valley Parkway interchange, terminating the former Community Master Plan and associated development rights, approving the major amendment to the Floreo at Teravalis Community Master Plan, formerly Trillium, as described in case number PLZZ-24-008, and the development agreement between the City of Buckeye and Trillium Land Company LLC, and authorizing the mayor to sign all documents necessary to carry out the intent of this ordinance. Mr. Sean Bonda.
Mayor, members of the council, good evening. Happy Tuesday, and I'm just going over today's, as you said, Floreo at Teravalis, which was formerly known as Trillium. So we had our meeting with the Planning Commission end of January 28th. It was approved unanimously as well. And we have before us kind of a brief overview. I'm going to keep it very brief. I promise Dave I keep it brief. So this is the project area located right here. It is in red along the Sun Valley Parkway. It is approximately 3,029 acres or 4.7 square miles of master plan community related to the larger former Douglas Ranch, now called Teravalis. And this is kind of showing how it relates real quickly. Douglas Ranch is being called Teravalis. This is Floreo at Teravalis. So there's the reference to the overall project. The property is currently zoned planned community, and it has a general plan of master plan communities, as just discussed, this evening, making an amendment, making this happen tonight as well. So the Trillium CMP, which was approved some time ago, back in 2004, over 20 years ago, was for 8,816 dwelling units at a density of 2.9 dwelling units an acre. Now, it's been amended several times over the years. It's been amended 4 times, from 2009 through 2022, and was recently, the latest was, CMPA was allowing the maximum density of 6,596 dwelling units at 2.2 dwelling units an acre. And that, the latest request is to propose it back closer to what was originally proposed, but this time, the CMPA is coming back with actions and stuff that actually help adopt a vision. I'm going to talk about that just briefly. So the 8,500 units is coming at a benefit to the city in the sense that this master plan community that's being proposed this evening amends the master plan, but adds a nearly 500-page specific document with guidelines, provisions, and standards. It creates a flexibility for higher standards, but with that comes, you know, as they say in superhero movies, with great responsibility comes, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's exactly what's kind of happening here. You have this flexibility, but there's responsibility in part of that. And sorry for the audience there. All the audience in the group right here is pretty much all for Floreo, so no pressure from me this evening. So what's happening here, they also have a maximum gross area of 7.2 million square feet of gross floor area. And they are showing this is a snippet from the CMPA, showing this weird, 2005-ish beige map. And what it's showing is, it's showing the different categories, the land use densities. The darker the brown, the more intense of the intensity of that use. Purpose, as I was saying before, of the CMPA is to provide a comprehensive vision. It's a regulatory framework, and it has both residential and non-residential uses. But, like I said before, that responsibility falls in that document, and it creates a higher quality standards. Specifically, now that there's Howard Hughes communities involved in it, it tailors to the Howard Hughes community's vision for the area. This is the Fifth Amendment, and in there actually was a couple different snippets from Howard Hughes communities. Summerlin from Las Vegas specifically is shown in here, showing kind of similar feels, densities, uses as being proposed currently in the Floreo CMP. Some of the key elements of that major amendment is developing a hierarchy of planning. I'm going to show you my favorite slide. It's probably the most boring slide, but it's my favorite one. It's the next one. It also has a development unit concept or land use budget. And so instead of specifically spelling out this area has this many units, this area has this many units, they create a land use budget. So within this development unit is allowed so many units. You may be familiar with a couple of other projects like that, that being Verado and Festival Ranch, have similar kind of uses. They have density intensity flexibility, submittal and review procedures, and design standards and guidelines. The design standards and guidelines is to create that flexibility. They have an entire section designed by designers for this project. I really like this part and appreciate this part. So design is one of my favorite things. So everybody knows me, knows I love design. This was the eye candy to the whole thing. So I spent more time reviewing that. It's the design standards and guidelines really carry that vision of Howard Hughes, what you were just seeing here. That vision spelled out, it's written for home developments, for commercial, for everything moving forward. It's very succinct development standards for that. I'm going to steal some of those standards. You might see them in a future amendment. Right, Mandy? So some key elements you're going to see here was that one part I told you is my favorite. It's that hierarchy of planning. It's that structure of planning. So when I explain different CMPs and how they operate, ignore the up arrows. I heard it was confusing, but the down arrows is what's really important. And it's this right here. The Floreo at Teravalis CMP is the overarching document, much like our general plan. Within there, they create development unit plans, and that's more the secondary level of planning, but specifically spells out character standards for different areas, different development units within this plan. And then finally, those development unit plans apply to different sections, and that's going to be for site plan specific or commercial or subdivision plats, and it details all that. And all this is detailed in that approximately 500-page document. Now this is a snippet. If you can read it, you got superhero eyes. I'm on a superhero theme tonight, but that's not what I was trying to convey here. I'm just trying to convey that within that CMP, they have land use classification specific to Teravalis. They created something Teravalis low density. And the reason why they're not using our traditional density or what they're using before is because of the uniqueness of its project and because of the standards, they created something that fit their vision, much like I was advocating for, like Verado, like Festival Ranch, creating those unique standards. And then finally, back to that, the 2005 beige brown map, the land use intensities, they actually have within it too a development district labeled out there and broken in there. This chart is to help anybody using the document to understand how the intensities, how the specific land uses in this side fit into the overall development. And the final part of it is how the overall, and this is just an example of how things work within the framework. So when you're starting to see different things move forward, people are always concerned, well, where's my park? Where's this? Well, much like Verado, it's networked and it's all planned. And in that larger network, they have larger park areas, smaller park areas, neighborhood park areas. Everything fits within a network with connectivity, all master planned out. So the last part of it that's tied to this is the development agreement. Now, Scott may have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the master developer is responsible for all dedications of construction public infrastructure needed. So everything associated to provide services to this development, from streets, water, to public safety. And specifically, it's talking about the permanent public safety facility is to be required prior to or these items. So this is kind of a choose your own adventure. Either A, they do it 2 years from the issuance of the first single-family residence or home, model home, or things along those lines, or B, within the issuance of the 1,760th residential single-family home, C of O. I practiced that in the mirror, and I said it right. So 1,760th. You also need to have full funding for one fully equipped fire engine, and payments for fire operations maintenance are required for 5 years. That is the parts of the development agreement. Specifics can be answered by both the developer here this evening or Mr. McCoy. And that wraps up my presentation this evening. Besides that, I have the recommendation, and I'm here to answer any questions. And we have the Floreo team as well.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Let's open a public hearing first. So we'll open the public hearing, and I have three non-speaker comments for agenda items, all three of these on this item 5A, and I understand that none of the three wish to speak, you do want to speak? Okay. Are you Kelsey? Okay, stand by one. Sam and Kelsey and Emilio, not wishing to speak up at the, okay. Okay, perfect. Just wanted to confirm that. We'll put these on the record, though. The city clerk, I'll give you the copies of each of these when we're complete. Do we have any other speaker request cards?
Mayor, there are no additional requests.
Okay, ma'am, would you please come up to the front here and you could speak from the bullpen? Please state your name and address for the record.
284 West Chinook Pass.
Thank you.
By the way, I saw you last night at the mentor meeting. It was really good. Two questions, because one I learned from the council get-together we had a couple of days ago, being new to the area, learning from the past. And there are older developments where it's hard to get a fire truck in and out. And I can't see what the houses look like and the streets look like. They were very tiny and all compact. Can you get, if people parked on both sides of the street, can you get emergency vehicles in and out? And with 1,760 homes, don't you need more than one fire truck?
So,
Developers, but I don't know, it seems like you need two. It's just, me,
so
who doesn't like fire.
let's, any other comments or questions?
I just
Okay,
wanted to,
we'll get that answered. Appreciate you coming up and doing that. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Sean, do you want to take that?
Yes, Mayor, members of the council. So that question is, first and foremost, I can't answer your question. Fire can correct me if I'm wrong. Once again, Nate's in the background, so I'm safe. Oh, there's no Nate. Here. Paul's back there. Okay, all right, we see. I'm used to Nate in the planning commission. I apologize. So The short of it is, this development has been reviewed by all departments, specifically public safety. So the public safety aspect is part of this. Oftentimes, people compare some of our older developments to our newer developments. Those standards have changed over the years to meet different requirements. And specifically, this has been vetted to meet the different, for example, wheel-based turning exhibits for the fire trucks to maneuver through that. And as the development progresses, and the development agreement you saw talking about the one fire truck was their initial requirement, not speaking for the overall 8,000 units. So the first, up till 1,760th units, they're required to complete the following through the development agreement. Is that correct, Mr. McCoy?
Yeah, the earlier of the two, so
Yeah.
2 years or the issuance of the 1,760th building.
And so that standards, and as we move forward, and I want to show you this last slide, council, members of the, is this slide right here. It's like I said, it's my favorite slide for a reason. So this is going to develop that overall standard. The development unit plan talks about the character look of each one of those. But as you move forward with each site plan and subdivision, they're reviewed individually by staff, specifically planning, engineering, water resources, public works, police, and fire department, making sure that everything meets that standard, which is adopted already with those fire standards, maneuverability, everything throughout the site. So that is my short answer. If fire rushes up to me, I said it wrong. We're good, they're not rushing.
No thumbs up, but he did shake his head the right way. We got a thumbs up. Okay. Okay. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and council questions on item 5A. I'm not hearing any, just a comment, and maybe a question also. If you go, I don't know which way, you're going quick. That one right there. 560 acres, is that what is under development right now?
Mayor, members of the council, development unit right here, that is what's under development right here, the 560.
The unit 3, correct.
Exactly, that unit 3.
Okay.
Yes, it is partially vertical right now. So, and I can have the applicant specifically answering specific questions you have about it.
No, no, please no. Just perspective.
Hey, Mayor.
I thought we were talking trash rates tonight. We never see this many people here unless we're raising rates. So just some perspective on it. That 560 acres, and I'm doing really bad mayor math from the dais, but the overall Teravalis is 37,000 acres, plus or minus. I'm seeing head nods with the folks here for the trash rates. So this parcel, the Floreo is roughly 10% of that entire Teravalis. And what is under construction right now, that 560 acres, which is a massive development that's taking place right now, is less than 2% of the entire size of Teravalis. Is that correct math-ish? I'm seeing head nods from the crowd. So,
Members of the council, they have engineers to answer that question, but yes.
not mayors doing math on the fly.
The Floreo is 10% of the overall Teravalis project. And this is only a sixth of that Floreo project. So yeah, break down the math, it's pretty close to 2 to 3%.
Right.
And then the density is gonna remain at 2.8 dwelling units an acre for this section of it.
And just like you've talked about tonight in that chart that has the different boxes, we're just laying the groundwork for the overarching kind of rules of engagement. And as we get into each development unit, then you start to detail what each one of those areas look like, and you start to take it from a crayon drawing into something that's a little bit more precise and design and start to create that vision, and then it gets into the site plans and subdivision plans. The development unit plans, site plans, and subdivision plans are all later on. We'll have opportunity to, at least you all will, to go through and understand what each one of those looks like, and not only take what Howard Hughes Corporation is trying to accomplish and further that, but also make sure that the roads are designed correctly, that the engineering is correct, that we can fit the fire trucks through, that all of the codes and things that has to be built to they're already they're already baked into the rules. That's where we have the opportunity to affect those things.
Mayor, members of the council, that is very well said. You're taking this Teravalis CMP, it's this general document, and creating that vision. And this document, the Fifth Amendment, it wasn't amended just happenstance. It creates and helps move that vision from Howard Hughes forward. Without it, they couldn't fit their design, the unique design, to fit within the cogs that was already there. So they had to create specific standards. And as you break it down, as you said, you create that uniqueness by utilizing this document. And the document has very specific standards, and in many cases, enhanced standards beyond what our code has, because our code speaks generally to everything. This one speaks specifically to the vision. But you're right, there's the protections in there. So not only do they get flexibility, but we get protections and assurances from this document.
Okay, appreciate that. And then just wanted to say also, appreciate all of the work and the back and forth that's been put in, not only by Howard Hughes and all the engineering and the gnashing of teeth and everything else that happens on that side, but also on staff side, sticking with us and continuing to get this to the finish line, which is today for the CMP and the development agreement. There is a massive amount of work that goes into this. And if you think through, we're trying to kind of detail what happens. I think this is last we talked, it was a 56-year master plan, somewhere in that range. So maybe 56 years from now, you're built out, but you're trying to envision what happens at that time. And there's just so much work that goes into trying to piece all that stuff together and make sure that we're not being too lenient, but in their case, we're not being too stringent. And just a tremendous amount of back and forth. I think it touches every single department that we have. I want to thank all of our staff for the great work and getting this to the finish line, and also Howard Hughes Corporation for the work that you all put into it, and could not be more excited. We've had the opportunity also to, I think I have 2 or 3 now, different developments of Howard Hughes, and the level of development that they bring and will bring up and down the Sun Valley Parkway is just game-changing. And so really excited to see that. Really excited to see you guys start, maybe first with the downtown area in creating I know Greg is back there laughing at me right now. That's not going to happen. But seeing what happens when you get the homes around and you have the populations that's there, and how you can execute on that downtown core. It just really, really excited to see all that come to play. Council, I'll stop with that. Item 5A, Council, what is your pleasure?
I move we approve item 5A, ordinance number 05-2. Second.
I have a motion for approval of item 5A and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And opposed? 5A passes unanimous. Congratulations, y'all. Now go fast.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 6, comments from mayor and council. Do we have any comments tonight?
Mr. Mayor, I have one thing.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Clay.
So, thank you. I just want to thank Howard Hughes for their work with the White Tank Mountain Conservancy and identifying and protecting the wildlife corridors that make the west side of the White Tank so vibrant. Again, just appreciate all the work, and you've definitely set the standard for all the development that is going to occur in that area. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Goodman. Councilman Yonker.
Just a quick thing. Got to attend a mixture of the Main Street businesses downtown this week. It was kind of cool to be down there with everybody that's in one spot and have that hanging out and having some good food from all the local restaurants. So it was a good little meetup.
Awesome. Thank you. Had the opportunity on Saturday to go to it's the 4th annual Compassion Clinic in the downtown area. And there's a group of volunteers that put on a free medical clinic They hosted at the Buckeye Elementary School cafeteria and gym and out on the plaza. I don't know the number of volunteers, but there had to be 100 volunteers out for that. They served free healthcare to individuals from the community, which included physicals and physical training, and then also dental work. They had 10 dentists there that were performing dental procedures. And then things like haircuts and meals and opportunities for all that. 360 individual services that were provided on, I think it was 318 people that had attended as not patients, but VIPs there. So what an awesome opportunity to have people that pour into the community like that and are excited to give back to the community and serving the most needy in the city of Buckeye. Okay, any other comments from council? All right, city manager's report and summary of current events.
Thank you, Mayor. You have received a draft of the new Parks and Rec Master Plan. It's also available to the public at planbuckeyeparks.com. We're looking for input from everyone on that. We anticipate a work study in May to discuss that, but Community Services has spent a huge amount of time putting that together. It's a very significant document, and we'll plan our future in terms of Parks and Rec. In terms of a couple of development updates, very quickly for you, Ross has received their C of O on their new 1.7 million square foot facility at Southern and Watson. That facility will be opening shortly and will employ over 1,000 people at that. So going to be a very important part of our community. The Link Senior Development project at Yuma and Sundance is now under construction. That, when it's completed, will have over 200 units for seniors, and we're very excited about that. And then finally, the Haymaker Restaurant just opened in Verrado at Sunrise Market, and another great opportunity for dining here that we haven't had before, so we're looking forward to that. I'd also like to, provide kudos to our fire department. Chief Rhodes, I don't think is here, but Rain and Paul are. Last night they had two major fires that they had to deal with. One, a brush fire that threatened a number of homes on Narramore, and then followed by a house structure fire that was occupied. They had to rescue the individual inside. So they did a fantastic job, and I know that's very unusual to have one, if not two major incidences like that in one night. Finally, we would invite everyone to attend the spring celebration. That will be held on April 12th from 9 to 1 at Sundance Park, including bounce houses, food vendors, egg hunts, and more. And information on that's at buckeyeaz.gov. That would conclude my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roderick. One other ribbon cutting that we did over the weekend, and that was the DeGino Coffee Company that's in that same plaza that Haymaker is in. They're a really cool story. It was basically a coffee trailer that grew into a bricks and mortar store right now, and they grow their own beans on a plantation that they have in Mexico, bring them up. They're pesticide and chemical free, and we spend an awful lot of money on coffee beans in the Osborne household at that place. So really excited to have them open. That's a family-run business and great people. Okay, item number 8 is proposals for future agenda items. Any from council? Okay, hearing none. Item number 9 is adjournment. With nothing else, we are adjourned. We'll start up with the